Well done. Lanark, Frontenac, Lennox, and Addington.
Thank you, Speaker. Listen, thanks for, I want to engage in this debate on Bill 73. It's called an act for smart growth. I don't believe there's much smart about this bill at all, but I am pleased to see that the minister is here, because I do want the minister, I expect the minister to be engaged in this debate and listening to the comments. And I'm going to start by saying, first off, our whole structure of government is based on this underlying principle of a distributed form of government. We have our federal government to take care of national affairs, provincial governments to take care of those jurisdictions that are best suited to be dealt with at a provincial level, and then we have our municipal governments who are clearly most and best suited to take care of local issues such as planning, such as garbage pickups, many different important functions that the municipality has. But that structure of a distributed form of government is lost when it comes to our planning laws, and I think it's lost in the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing completely. And I want to share some examples with the minister today, and maybe he will have an opportunity to respond in the questions and comments. I'll give the House this example. The town of Perth has an official plan. It was approved by the council of the town of Perth. It was also approved by the Lanark County approval body. And then that official plan was once again approved by the Municipal Affairs and Housing Ministry. 3 levels to have this official plan for the town of Perth approved. Once it was approved, they went to work. There was 3 developments planned in Perth. If all 3 developments had gone forward, it would have resulted in a 1% deviation in the population forecast from the official plan. So I want that to be clearly understood by the minister. If all 3 developments had gone ahead, the population of Perth would have been 1% greater than the official plan called for. The Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing appealed and prevented those developments from happening based on the 1% problem. The Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing frustrated, obstructed, and prevented the town of Perth from growing. For a number of years, they had them tied up and frustrated in OMB appeals. Eventually, the town of Perth gave up. They gave up dealing with the bureaucracy and the frustration of the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, and they agreed to only do 2 developments, which would result in a decrease from the population forecast in the approved official plan. 1%. Now, I think everybody in this House would normally expect that if you got to your target with a deviation of 1%, that you should have a pat on the back. You should be applauded for your thoughtful, intelligent, and purposeful meeting of those targets. But instead, the ministry frustrated and objected. 99% was not good enough for the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing. Lost opportunities for work, lost opportunities for tax revenues by the municipality, lost opportunities throughout the community, and, of course, lost money and time for people who have invested in that community. And these are people who were born, raised, and are strong contributors to the community. Their town wanted it. Their county wanted it. But the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing and his bureaucracy said, not good enough. 99% not good enough. And we see the same thing happening, Speaker, throughout rural Ontario with development. I know most Liberal members represent densely populated urban areas, and I understand that perspective. I understand their focus. But there is more to Ontario than just densely populated urban areas. A great deal more. A great deal more. And the people who live there and work there and make this province strong ought not to be penalized and punished by an obstinate, frustrating bureaucracy in Toronto who has their focus on high-rise condos on Front Street. There's more to Ontario than that. And we've seen this, Speaker, with the obstinance of the Ministry of Municipal Affairs on development in rural Ontario, development on private roads. A great deal of my riding is developed on private roads. To all the hundreds and hundreds of lakes and rural areas in my riding, people get to their homes on their private roads. This ministry has been obstructing and preventing development on private roads for a number of years now. Our communities cannot. Oh, Sue, why don't you listen for a little bit? Instead of just making little hand gestures from the member from Scarborough, Agincourt.
The member to speak through, or the member to speak through the speaker and not engage with contact or verbal discussions with members across. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, maybe you want to have a chat with the member from Scarborough, Agincourt, or Agincourt about hand gestures in the House. Anyway, there is nothing. This bill does not address the concerns, the comments, the troubles and the problems of the Planning Act in rural Ontario. In fact, Speaker, it exasperates them. It makes them more difficult. For now, there will be no changes to an official plan for at least 2 years. No zoning bylaws, no amendments, no variations for 2 years. Once an official plan is done, it is locked in and there's no discussion about it. You know, things change. We can have plans, but they may deviate a little bit, and we need to be flexible enough to deal with those deviations, like that onerous misprojection of 1% on the 3 developments in Perth. The member for Beaches said this bill brings flexibility to the Planning Act. Well, Speaker, he either hasn't read the bill, or I'm sure he hasn't read the bill. Or his idea of flexibility is would not be found in the Oxford Dictionary. It's I don't know what his you know. Others might say it's just he's talking BS when he says that bill offers flexibility. Anything but. That's baloney. So I would ask the minister. He's here today. He's heard my comments about the town of Perth, and he's heard my comments about private roads. During the questions and comments, Minister, I would love to hear your rationale for preventing the municipality, the town of Perth, from proceeding with their developments because their forecast was off by 1%, and would this bill have prevented your ministry from bringing that appeal forward and obstructing the desires and wishes of the elected council of Perth and the councillors of the County of Lanark. Thank you.